Number one is how shall I know
Exactly.
without courtship?
And has Islam allowed the cohabit?
Yeah, without cohabitation. The statement should be clear. Cohabitation is haram. The problem is we happen to give these behaviors some sugar-coated names to justify them. You know? We happen to give them some good names so that they don't sound bad. I think the right question would be, am I allowed to commit zina with a woman before I could marry her? Because when you say cohabitation, it's like you are giving it a certain garment so that it looks smart. You know? That is one. Number two, if Islam required that you should have A, B, C, D consideration, how are you going to know them before you actually have a life experience? You know? The answer to that is, look at the history. For instance, the Prophet ﷺ told us that tazawwaju al-walud al-wadud. Marry the women who are productive or they have a good reproductive health and they are also loving. And of course, those two, you can only be certain about them by having a real interaction. You know? But the scholars have guided us. Look at her lineage. You know? How many children maybe does her mother, you know, has? How many? You know? Because chances are high that they have certain traits which they share as a family. That's why sometimes if you are so interested in the twins, you could actually see that, you know, the mother gave twins, and even when you look at the grandmother also, so you have some good expectation there. Now when it comes to love, there are many ways that you can know that this is a loving woman. How is she taking care of her friends? How is she taking care of her own siblings? Because in many cases, what she's doing with her friends, what she's doing with her siblings, she's likely to replicate them. And by the way, yours is a very close relationship. So it is by stronger reason that if she had been doing them to this, she's likely also to do them to you. Now, having said that, why is it that Islam discourages cohabitation? Courtship is okay, but we shall say that there is an Islamic way of courtship. You know? Because, by the way, immediately after making a proposal, you know, and your proposal had been accepted, Islam allows some limited interaction through what you could call a courtship. But it should also be not as open as it could lead to other things. You know? Because during that time, you have certain things that you want to study. For instance, during that time, by the way, having made the proposal, what comes next is that Islam allows you to have a look at her. An-nazar ila al-makhtuba. Looking at the proposed woman, the proposed man. But we shall go into a discussion to what extent. You know? What are the body features that Islam allows you to look at? To a great extent, the scholars are saying that you could look at her face and even her palms. Because we know that the face is like the passport. This is the identity. Now when it comes to the palms, some scholars say that there are some indicators of the good reproductive lineage out of that. I'm not a koja to go deep into that. Together on that, now having said that, if that's it, some people, young men will be like, but just how should I just settle on the face and the palms? You know? He says that no, Islam would have extended to allow me look at the breasts, look at the bums, look at the shin and so on. The answer to that is that Islam is practical, Islam is human. Are we together? Now, at your level, when you go to the shop to buy a mere shirt, the shop attendant might not allow you, remove it from Kavera, change like this, do like this, do like this. It feels like at the end of the day, if you don't buy it, it's like you have devalued it. Now, if this is just on a trade item, what about a human being? Number two, consider the emotions of the other party. If it is your daughter, would you be happy that a man comes and says, now turn left, now turn right, now stand, then that, at the end of the day says, I am sorry. I'm not interested. Are we together? So it is a balance between what you really want to achieve, but also preserving the honor and the modesty of the person under observation. Okay? Now, having said that, our conclusion here is that if you have taken some good time to study the characters and the behaviors of the person that you want, go ahead and propose.